And Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is denying accusations that he leaked a Supreme Court decision before it was publicly announced. A former evangelical activist is claiming he knew about the outcome of a 2014 decision before it was announced, according to the New York Times. In a letter to Chief Justice John Roberts this summer that was originally obtained by the Times, Reverend Rob Schneck says he was told by Gail Wright, a wealthy political donor, about the discussion involving a decision on contraception and the Affordable Health Care Act. The letter said Wright had dinner with Justice Samuel Alito and his wife and claims they spoke about the upcoming ruling. Now, CNN Supreme Court reporter Ariane DeVogue joins us now. Ariane, I'm so glad you're here. One of the best Supreme Court reporters in the country. Obviously, one of the biggest questions in Washington for the past several months has been who leaked the abortion decision. But what do we know about this 2014 decision, and what does this mean for the court?
Right. Well, as you say, this man, the Reverend Rob Schenck, he was an opponent of abortion. And at the time, he ran this nonprofit. And basically, through donors, he was trying to get access to the Supreme Court justices. And he said in this New York Times story that back in 2014, he had one of his biggest donors, Gail Wright. She told him that she was going to have dinner with the Alito. She was going to ask about this important pending decision and try to find out the outcome. And he says that she called him afterwards and basically said, look, Alito is going to write this and we're going to win this case. So flash forward a few years, he, the Reverend Schenck, has now become a supporter of abortion rights, right? And he learned that Chief Justice John Roberts last spring was going to launch this investigation into who leaked the decision overturning Roe. And he said, look, I have information that could be interesting to you. It's worth noting, though, that Justice Alito issued a really strong and rare statement. They usually don't speak up. This is what he said to the New York Times, and we obtained it too. He said, I never detected any effort on the part of the rights to obtain confidential information or to influence anything that I did in either an official or private capacity, and I would have strongly objected if they had done so. And I also talked to Wright yesterday, and she said that the story was patently not true. But Paula, you know what's interesting about this story? It may not be so much about the leak and whether it happened or not, but that it really shows this behind-the-scenes effort to try to influence the court. That feels really political, and that really bothers the justices, because if the court begins to look like a political body, the fear is the public is not going to take their decisions seriously. That's what's of real concern, and that might be the big import of this story, Paula.
It's a great point, Ariane, because this comes as public approval ratings for the court are at an all-time low, and a lot of questions, as you said, about political influence, questions about Justice Clarence Thomas, his wife's involvement in January 6th. I mean, how do you think that this will impact the public perception of the court?
Right. Well, we're seeing right now that the polls show that the public is really questioning the legitimacy of the Supreme Court. And we're also seeing the justices themselves worried about it. Last summer, we saw Elena Kagan give about 3 appearances, and she really talked publicly about that decision last term overturning Roe, 50-year-old precedent, just because there'd been a change in the membership of the court. And she said, you know, when the court moves like that, it calls into question the legitimacy of the court. But interestingly, Chief Justice John Roberts, in his own public appearances, and Samuel Alito, they really pushed back. They didn't name her, but they said, you know, you can't question the legitimacy of the court just because you don't like its opinions. So this is really bringing up these issues that are concerning not only the country, but the court itself.